And I tell you, so many people in your family were musically oriented.
My dad was him and my oldest brother used to play music all the time at night, you know, when they'd come in from the field.
Mm-hmm.
My oldest brother could play a guitar, mandolin, fiddle, 5-string banjo, piano, but he could not blow a harmonica. He tried. My daddy could blow the harmonica and play all the other instruments.
And played the Jews harp.
And played juice harp too.
Mm-hmm.
And there wasn't enough instruments to go around, so a lot of us never learned to play right then. Later on, I chopped cotton and got $3 and bought an old guitar from a black fellow that had got him a know. And I learned the chords and learned to play a little bit on that guitar. But none of them would sing. Me and Melina were the only two that would sing.
Uh-huh.
So we had to do the singing while they would play.
And I didn't know that part. Because we always sang.
Yeah, but my brothers and sisters didn't. Lena would sing, but she was the only one. Me and her do all the singing.
And Pawpaw.
Oh, he sing. Look at that spider going up the wall.
Mm-hmm.
And man, he come up with something doggone.
Monkey and the baboon.
Monkey and the baboon playing the grass. Monkey stuck a finger in the baboon's eye. that's the way he's hanging.
Uh-huh.
I got a recording here that Jackie and Janet sent me. They scrapped up all this stuff that had, a lot of it you don't even know what's going on, and put it on a tape of my daddy. And he's plucking on that old 5-string banjo, and all of a sudden he says, "I'm doing the cooking. William burnt the biscuits and the chicken, so I'm doing the cooking now." William was standing there with him. But the stuff like that they put on a tape and mailed it to all the brothers and sisters.
But that's why I always liked that soundtrack to Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? Because so much of that reminded me of me growing up listening to Pawpaw play and sing and listening, like the guitar, the acoustic guitar instrumental. I've heard you play songs like that, just sit there and play for hours. And, you know, we always sang. You and Mama sang, and me and Sherry sang. I really don't remember Barbara and Johnny singing.
I've never heard them sing a word. I never heard them sing.
But Robert sang. And then when I remember when I was real little, he's playing electric guitar and he's getting me to sing the lyrics of the songs for him.
I remember that.
Yeah.
I remember one time he was going to do something in the house. Somehow he stuck 2 wires in a socket. I don't know what he was experimenting with. Anyway, it knocked him across the room. All the lights went out. It's a good thing we had circuit breakers.
He would have blown all the fuses, wouldn't he?
Yeah. We had to go turn all the fuses back on. He kicked everything in the house off.
That sounded like Robert. He never did anything halfway, did he?
Mm-mm.
Lord, Lord.
But what really, I believe his daughter committed suicide was one thing that really knocked him out. You know, he had that nervous breakdown.
Yeah.
He was a medic in Vietnam, and he'd been in the Army for years and years. But anyway, they sent him to Vietnam, and all he did was go around and gather body parts and bag them in them black bags and put the dog tags, staple them to the bags. And he just got to it. And then he came home and his daughter committed suicide. Hanged herself at 17 on the clothesline. it wasn't too long after that where he didn't show up. He was 100% disabled from that Vietnam. And he didn't show up at the hospital, and they went down to check, and his door was locked, and they broke the lock somewhere. He got in, the police did, he got in there, and they said he'd been dead a day or two. And died in his sleep. You see, he was still in bed there, where he took his clothes off and lay down with the bed, died in his sleep. And at his funeral, they brought his son to the funeral, 2 prison guards, and he was in chains.
Right. He was in shackles.
He was legs and wrists.
Had the belt around his waist and had the chains going through the belt between his hands and his feet.
That bothered Andy, about him being shackled like that.
They couldn't trust Jeff.
But you know, Andy filmed all he could and brought it to his mom, to grandma. So she wasn't able to go, but she could see the funeral of Robert. We've had some good ones and we've had some bad ones.
Yeah. Had a lot of good times and bad times over the years.
That's life, though. You gotta learn how to roll with the punches.
Remember when Uncle Tommy lived with y'all for a little while? Remember when Uncle Tommy lived with y'all for a little while?
Yeah.
The influence he had on Johnny, hanging out the car?
Yeah.
What was he telling those women?
I have forgotten that, but I remember him having that.
I remember stories. Say, yo, baby.
Yeah.
Say,
I see your legs.
Yo, baby, I see your legs. And this was back in the 50s. That was something else. He taught us, or taught them bad things. I wasn't around yet.
Tom would do that. He told Sherry a bunch of dirty stuff here. Not bad, but dirty. When she was a little baby, Tom lived with me, see, when you got out of high school.
I remember she cussed you because you knocked her down.
You damn fool, you fell me down. Oh.
Yeah, I was in the car. At one time, her mama had to go downtown for something. And she was about 2 or 3 years old. You was a little baby.
Well, she had to be a 4 then.
When she got downtown, when she got out of her car, I think Sherry coughed or something. She laying down on the floorboard, the back seat.
Mama said she heard her going through the bags looking for something.
Her and Lewis was bad to go to the small stores around close to the house. We'd go over there, and they'd bring the peeling up from the way. They'd let me cut a banana and eat it. Remember Pangs?
I remember Pangs, yes.
Every time we go to the store, Pang would pick Lewis up and lay him on his scale, see how much weight he'd gain.
The 2 main stories I remember about when I was little was Mama saying people fussed at her because I was a little baby and didn't have no cover on because I was so hot natured I wouldn't keep nothing on. And the other thing was how heavy I was. People asked her what she fed me. Do you remember what she told them?
Yeah.
The rocks.
He was pretty heavy when he was young.
I ain't never been little. I ain't never been little.
One of the nurses wanted to steal him over at the hospital when he was born. She said, I could take him home with me, but I couldn't explain that red hair. She was Italian. Yeah.
Lord. And I got thinking the other day, I always heard the stories, listening to your daddy and listening to your brothers and sisters about when you were little, about you were real sickly when you were little.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And give you aspirin and you'd be delirious and talking out of your head, but you talking about you were really little at the time.
Mm-hmm. I couldn't take aspirin. It knocked me out. But it was from the time I was 3 until I was 5. In that time, I got to the point I couldn't walk. Thurman would pick me up in the morning in the summertime and take me out to a pallet they had made on the front porch.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd lay there, and he got a half a gallon fruit jar and filled it with water, and they was cleaning out an old pond down there to hold water for the cows. And he had got some little catfish about an inch long.
Mm-hmm.
And he put some in that jar and put some green stuff in there for oxygen.
Mm-hmm.
And that little jar sat there, and I'd watch them little fishes swimming. And spend a day out there. And I don't know what it was. They said malaria, but I don't think that's what it was. I don't know what it was, but everybody come by, oh, he gonna die, he ain't gonna make it, you ain't gonna raise that one.
Mm-hmm.
The kids can hear.
That's right.
Even though they're sick, they still can hear. The old folks shouldn't talk like that. And everybody back then, well, I guess must have been hard to hear because they all talk loud.
Mm-hmm.